Have you ever trusted someone only to watch them vanish from your life without a word? No arguments. No closure. Just silence. If that person was a Sagittarius, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's the shocking truth: when a Sagittarius disappears, it's not because they're weak. It's not because they don't care. It's because you crossed a line you probably didn't even realize existed. And once that line is crossed, you're erased. But why? Why does the most free-spirited, joyful, and forgiving sign of the zodiac turn into a ghost overnight? Why do they walk away when others would stay and fight? In this video, we're not just talking about Sagittarius as a zodiac sign. We're unlocking a hidden truth about human nature. About freedom. About betrayal. About why some people vanish from your life, and why you never see them the same way again. If you've ever loved a Sagittarius, or been hurt by one, or if you're a Sagittarius yourself, this video will explain everything you've felt but couldn't understand. Stay with me until the end. Because what you'll discover today could change the way you see yourself and the people around you. And if you enjoy insights like this, don't forget to like this video. Share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel. It means more than you know. Now, let's begin. Have you ever wondered why a Sagittarius disappears so suddenly after being hurt? Not with anger. Not with drama. Just gone. Like they were never there. It's not because they're trying to punish you. And it's not because they're cold-hearted. The truth is much deeper. Sagittarius values something most people overlook: authenticity. They don't crave comfort. They crave realness. When you betray them, whether it's a lie, broken promise, or emotional neglect, it's not just your actions that hurt them. It's the fact that you shattered the honest connection they thought they had with you. And when that truth is broken, they choose to disappear. Not as revenge, but as self-preservation. Imagine it like this: you're standing near a wildfire. It's beautiful. It's warm. It lights up your world. But step too close, and it burns you. Sagittarius energy is that wildfire. When they feel betrayed, they pull back to protect their core, their inner flame. They vanish to heal, to breathe, and to remind themselves who they are, without the weight of being misunderstood. That silence they give you? It's not about you. It's about them. It's how they survive. But here's where things get even harder to understand. That silence feels like punishment, doesn't it? One moment they're laughing with you. The next, they're distant. Unreachable. And you're left asking yourself, what did I do wrong? That's the power of emotional reflection. Their withdrawal becomes a mirror. A quiet one. Suddenly, you feel everything they felt. Emotional distance. Doubt. Loneliness. The difference is, you caused it. And now, you're living in it. It's karma. But it doesn't arrive as loud revenge. It arrives as silence. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever stepped back from someone, not because you hated them, but because staying was breaking your soul? That's Sagittarius. They choose their peace over explanations. Their emotional health over endless justifications. And in doing so, they force others to face themselves. Without even saying a word. Now, here's something people often misunderstand. Many think a Sagittarius will crumble after being hurt. That their fire will die. But if you've ever seen a Sagittarius bounce back after heartbreak, you know the opposite is true. Their confidence doesn't crack. It grows. They carry something rare, what psychologists call intrinsic self-worth. They don't need applause to feel valuable. They don't need validation to shine. And when they're hurt, this inner strength becomes their greatest weapon. They don't waste energy proving you wrong. They don't beg. They don't chase. Instead, they rise quietly, every insult, every betrayal, every heartbreak becomes fuel. You'll watch them glow brighter after losing you. And that's the part that hurts the most. Not because they seek revenge, but because your absence did nothing to dim their light. In fact, it made them stronger. And here's a hard truth: sometimes, watching someone heal without you is the deepest punishment of all. Think about that. But maybe the most confusing thing about Sagittarius is their way of ending things. No arguments. No breakdowns. No long explanations. They just walk away. And they don't look back. You could be standing right next to them, yet feel like a stranger. They don't do this to be cruel. They do it because they know something many of us don't: closure doesn't come from conversations. It comes from clarity. And sometimes, clarity means understanding when to let go without words. This can feel brutal, especially if you're the one left behind. You crave explanations. You want answers. But Sagittarius won't give them to you. Not because they want you to suffer, but because to them, the connection ended the moment it stopped being real. Explaining that feels pointless. They're not chasing closure. They're choosing freedom. And yet, there's a lesson in that silence. A painful but powerful one. That sometimes, the people who vanish from our lives aren't punishing us. They're protecting themselves. And they're forcing us to reflect. On our actions. On our words. On the parts of ourselves we didn't want to face. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you've walked away from someone who kept hurting you. Maybe you've chosen silence, not as revenge, but as a last act of self-care. If so, you understand Sagittarius more than you think. And if you've lost a Sagittarius, let their silence be your mirror. Not your punishment. Their journey teaches us something profound: that healing doesn't always look like conversations, or closure, or second chances. Sometimes, healing looks like walking away. And trusting that your inner fire will guide you forward. Because for Sagittarius, freedom isn't optional. It's survival. And their disappearance? It's not the end of their story. It's the start of their next chapter. One you're no longer part of. One of the hardest lessons Sagittarius teaches us is that healing often looks like forgetting. When they cut someone out of their life, it's not about holding a grudge. It's about protecting their peace. Imagine someone you once cared about deeply. Someone who felt like family. Now imagine waking up one day and realizing they don't think about you anymore. That's the Sagittarius way of healing. They don't carry emotional baggage. They don't replay old conversations. They don't revisit past pain just to feel something. They let it go. Not for you. For themselves. And that's where karma comes in. Because while you're still thinking about them, still checking their social media, still wondering what went wrong, they've already moved forward. Their selective memory isn't a game. It's survival. A way to make space for new adventures, new people, and new energy. And the pain you feel? That's not them punishing you. That's you realizing too late, you were never as permanent as you thought. It hurts, doesn't it? Being forgotten by someone who once saw your soul. But let's go even deeper. Have you ever seen a Sagittarius when they're angry? Not just upset. Truly hurt. People assume they'll argue, cry, or beg. But no. Sagittarius is ruled by fire. And fire doesn't cry. It burns. When you betray a Sagittarius, they don't lash out in chaos. They transform. They don't destroy themselves. They destroy the lies, the illusions, and the fake promises you built with them. They burn bridges you didn't even know existed. You'll watch as every version of them you thought you knew vanishes. They evolve. They rise. They become someone stronger. Someone you no longer have access to. And that transformation? It's fueled by truth. Sagittarius doesn't need revenge. They need clarity. Every fake smile, every half-truth, every manipulation, they'll expose it. Maybe not with words. Maybe not publicly. But in the way they live. In the way they no longer need you. In the way they cut through your excuses like a flame through paper. And here's the part no one warns you about. Once their fire burns through the lies, there's no going back. The bridge is gone. You can't rebuild what you burned. But let's pause for a moment. Because you might be thinking, surely, Sagittarius is dramatic. They enjoy the chaos. Right? Wrong. Sagittarius doesn't seek drama. They crave peace. They value laughter, honesty, and simple joy. But here's where people make a dangerous mistake. They confuse peace with weakness. They assume the Sagittarius will keep forgiving. Keep staying silent. Keep tolerating. Until one day, they don't. If you push them too far, they won't just walk away quietly. They'll own the stage. They'll stop being the observer and become the main act. When they finally speak, everyone listens. Not because they're loud, but because they're right. Have you ever been called out by someone who knows your soul? Someone who knows your deepest flaws? That's what it feels like when Sagittarius finally snaps. Their words don't just hurt. They awaken. And karma? It hands them the microphone. Suddenly, the truth spills out. The lies unravel. And you're left standing in the spotlight, exposed. But here's the twist. They don't do it to destroy you. They do it because they refuse to let silence protect your lies. Sagittarius believes in truth. Even when it hurts. Even when it burns. And the universe backs them up. Because karma always sides with those who defend their peace. So while you're stirring chaos, trying to manipulate or control the narrative, Sagittarius walks straight through the storm. Head high. Fire blazing. And you're left behind, drowning in your own mess. And now, we reach a truth that's even harder to accept. Sagittarius knows their worth. Deeply. Quietly. Unshakably. You can try to belittle them. You can ignore them. Take them for granted. But it won't work. Because they don't rely on your validation. They carry their confidence like a silent armor. Have you ever tried to break someone, only to realize they were never depending on you in the first place? That's what it feels like when you hurt a Sagittarius. You'll expect them to crumble. But instead, you'll watch them rise. Not to prove you wrong, but simply because they were always destined to rise. And here's where karma delivers its quietest, most painful blow. As they shine, you'll fade. As they thrive, you'll watch from a distance. And every step they take forward without you becomes a mirror showing you everything you lost. Not because they're punishing you, but because life rewards those who remember their worth. It's a tough lesson, isn't it? The people you thought needed you often didn't. And the ones you underestimated were stronger than you ever imagined. Sagittarius doesn't seek revenge. They don't plot or scheme. They simply live. Freely. Fully. Authentically. And life rewards that fire. Every single time. But what comes next? The final truths about Sagittarius, the lessons hidden in their silence, the karmic consequences no one dares to talk about, those are the things that will surprise you most. Stay with me. Because the last 3 insights are the ones you'll never forget. Have you ever tried to control someone, thinking it was love? Maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe you thought you were protecting them, guiding them, doing what's best. But with a Sagittarius, control is the one thing they'll never forgive. Because for them, freedom isn't just important, it's survival. Sagittarius breathes independence. Every part of who they are is built on choice, movement, autonomy. Try to clip their wings, and they don't argue. They don't fight. They just disappear. Quietly. Completely. And the silence they leave behind, that's when the real punishment begins. You might not notice it at first. But over time, you'll feel the absence. The emptiness where their energy used to be. No more spontaneous adventures. No more late-night conversations about life. No more spark. That void isn't accidental. It's the karmic price of trying to possess something that was never yours to own. Sagittarius isn't yours. They never were. And the moment you forget that, is the moment they're gone. And when they go, you'll feel it everywhere. In the silence of your home. In the weight of conversations that no longer feel exciting. In the heavy feeling that something magical slipped through your fingers, and you didn't even realize it until it was too late. If you're lucky enough to have a Sagittarius in your life, remember this: never hold too tightly. Don't cage the wind. Love them in freedom, or you'll lose them completely. But what if you betray them? What if you lie? Manipulate, or break their trust? Many people expect cold distance, silent treatment. But Sagittarius isn't built that way. They're not afraid of the truth. In fact, they live for it. So if you hurt them, expect something rare. Brutal honesty. Not to destroy you, but to wake you up. They won't yell. They won't argue endlessly. They'll say what they feel once. Clearly. Calmly. Directly. And those words will stay with you longer than any scream ever could. Have you ever had someone tell you exactly who you are, when you weren't ready to hear it? That's what Sagittarius does. Their truth cuts through the noise. Through your excuses. Through the stories you told yourself. And that moment of raw exposure, that's your karma. Because the words of a Sagittarius don't fade. They echo. You'll remember them late at night, when you're alone with your thoughts. You'll hear their voice when you try to justify your actions. You'll feel their honesty like a mirror, showing you who you really are. Not to shame you, but to reveal you. And that's the beauty and pain of loving a Sagittarius. They don't betray truth to protect your feelings. They honor truth to protect your soul. Even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. But here's the paradox. Just when you think you understand them, they shift. Because Sagittarius is unpredictable. And that unpredictability? That's what hurts the most when they leave. One day, they're laughing with you. Planning the next adventure. Dreaming about the future. And the next, silence. No explanation. No warning. Just absence. And you're left wondering what happened. What you missed. What you did wrong. That's what makes losing them so painful. The unpredictability. The suddenness. The emptiness that wasn't there yesterday. You expect anger. But you get quiet. You expect explanations. But you get a closed door. And that's karma's secret weapon. Sagittarius doesn't let you prepare for their absence. They let you feel it when you least expect it. Like a door slammed in the middle of a sentence. Like laughter cut short. Like a story unfinished. And that lingering confusion, that's your lesson. You thought you'd have time. Time to apologize. Time to explain. Time to fix it. But Sagittarius doesn't work on your timeline. They work on their own. And once they're gone, they're gone. Not to punish you. But because their soul refuses to stay where their freedom isn't honored. So what can we learn from this? Never assume people will stay just because they love you. Love isn't a guarantee. Connection isn't permanent. Presence is a gift. One you have to earn every day. especially with a Sagittarius. And perhaps the deepest loss of all is realizing that someone who once felt like home now feels like a stranger. Because when Sagittarius leaves, they don't leave with anger. They leave with silence. And that silence is louder than any goodbye. But don't think this is the end. The final 3 truths about Sagittarius, the ones we're about to uncover, will reveal the deepest secrets of their soul. And perhaps, the harshest realities of why losing them hurts far more than you ever expected. Stay with me. Because what's coming next might change the way you see love forever. There's something about Sagittarius people that's hard to explain until you experience it. It's the way their presence feels like sunlight. Warm, alive, effortless. They don't just bring energy into a space, they become the energy itself. You can feel it in the way they laugh without holding back. In the way they turn ordinary moments into memories. In the way their joy makes you believe, even for a second, that life can be simple again. And that's exactly why losing them hurts more than you expect. When a Sagittarius walks away, it's not just a person you lose. It's a spark. Suddenly, everything feels heavier. Conversations feel quieter. Life feels dimmer. It's not about needing their attention. It's about missing the feeling of being alive when they were around. Their joy isn't something you can replace. You'll try. You'll meet new people. You'll search for new adventures. But nothing feels the same. Because their joy wasn't fake. It wasn't forced. It was who they are. And here's where karma works silently. It doesn't scream. It doesn't punish you loudly. It simply takes that light away. And the silence that follows, that's your lesson. But Sagittarius doesn't dwell on that. While you're feeling the emptiness, they're already moving forward. And not out of anger, but out of nature. Because they don't stay stuck. They don't look back. They shine. Even after heartbreak, Sagittarius shines on their own. Have you ever watched someone glow after you hurt them? It's confusing. It's painful. But it's real. Their light doesn't depend on your presence. Their worth doesn't shrink because you left. If anything, losing people fuels their fire. What tried to break them makes them brighter. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to show you they're better without you. They just are. And every smile you see from afar, every moment of their success, every picture of them laughing again, it all becomes a quiet reminder. A reminder that they never needed you to be whole. And that's when karma delivers its hardest lesson. You become the shadow to their glow. You fade while they rise. But don't misunderstand. Sagittarius doesn't do this to hurt you. They're not acting. They're healing. They're living. Their journey forward is their way of saying, I remember who I am. And that memory burns brighter than any betrayal. But what protects them most is their vision. Sagittarius isn't someone who stays in pain. They're dreamers. Builders. Visionaries. When they're hurt, they don't collapse. They evolve. They take the pain, the scars, the lessons, and they turn them into strength. Into purpose. Have you ever watched someone use the pain you caused them as fuel to build a life you can't enter? That's what Sagittarius does. And they do it quietly. Gracefully. While you're wondering if they miss you, they're chasing a future you'll never be part of. Because Sagittarius doesn't chase closure. They chase meaning. They chase life. They keep moving forward. Not to escape the past, but to honor their future. And the universe rewards them for that. Every door you closed on them becomes a reason for life to open 10 more. And you? You're left watching from the outside. Wondering how someone you once had in your hands now feels untouchable. But that's what happens when you hurt someone who was born to rise. You watch them become unstoppable. And karma makes sure you see it all. There's something poetic about that, isn't there? About the way life protects those who choose healing over hate. About how the ones we underestimate become the ones who outgrow us completely. And now, you're probably thinking, could there be anything deeper? Anything harder to accept? The truth is, the final 3 secrets about Sagittarius aren't just lessons. They're the harshest realities. The ones no one warns you about. The ones that will make you rethink not only them, but yourself. And in a moment, we're going to uncover them together. But be warned. What comes next might change the way you see love forever. Sagittarius people have a rare emotional skill. They know exactly when to cut ties. And when they do, it's final. You might think there's still a chance. That maybe one more message, one more apology, will open the door again. But the truth is, once they decide you've hurt them enough, there are no more second chances. No more conversations. No more explanations. They don't create dramatic endings. They simply end. And that silence, that absence, it's not anger. It's clarity. It's the deep, quiet knowing that some connections are no longer worth saving. That keeping you in their life costs them more peace than letting you go. You'll send the messages. You'll replay old memories. You'll hope. But they won't answer. And slowly, you'll understand. You're no longer part of their story. Not as a villain. Not even as a memory. You've become nothing. And that emptiness you feel? That's not their punishment. That's your lesson. Because when Sagittarius walks away for good, karma doesn't scream. It whispers in the silence you're forced to live with. But here's what people often misunderstand. Just because they've let go, doesn't mean they're angry. Sagittarius doesn't hold grudges. Their heart is too big for that. They don't drown in bitterness. They don't waste years plotting revenge. In fact, if you saw them on the street tomorrow, they might smile. They might be polite. They might even ask how you're doing. But don't mistake their kindness for softness. Because here's the painful truth. You'll never get the same version of them again. They might forgive you. But they won't forget what you did to their heart. You'll remember the way they once trusted you. The way they opened up to you. The way they laughed like you were their safest place. And when you meet them again, even just as a stranger, you'll realize that version of them is gone. Forever. And that realization? That's the karmic punishment. Not dramatic. Not loud. But final. Sagittarius won't hate you. They won't talk badly about you. They'll simply erase the connection. And from that moment on, you become just another person they used to know. No yelling. No closure. Just absence. And if you're lucky enough to still have a Sagittarius in your life, protect that connection. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Because once you lose their trust, once you make their heart feel unsafe, they'll never offer it to you again. And that, my friend, is the silent heartbreak most people never recover from. So, what does all of this mean? What's the deeper message here? It's simple, but not easy. Sagittarius teaches us that freedom is non-negotiable. That authenticity matters more than comfort. That real love doesn't chain, it chooses. And above all, that healing sometimes looks like silence. Their reactions aren't about revenge. They're about protecting peace. And their silence isn't a punishment. It's a reflection of your actions. So if you've loved a Sagittarius, or lost one, or if you're a Sagittarius yourself, remember this. Your story isn't about endings. It's about becoming. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real lesson all of us need to hear. If you saw yourself in this video, if a Sagittarius came to your mind, or if this made you feel something you can't explain, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Subscribe to this channel. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because someone out there is trying to understand why the person they loved disappeared without warning. And this might help them heal. There's so much more to explore. About love. About healing. About understanding the people who come into our lives, and the ones who leave. So stay with me. The next video might be the one your heart's been waiting for.